Hello, everybody. I'm just a few minutes late. I apologize for that. I had to get some things together before I could get started today. I noticed I need myself a new microphone. Never realized how bad my voice was on this microphone until I went back and started looking at some of my streams again. I realize now that if I have my mouth directly pointed toward the microphone, I'm too loud. And then when I go away from the microphone, I'm way too quiet. I have to be at the perfect distance and the perfect direction. And it doesn't work when I'm moving around as much as I do. So here's what we've got today. And I hope everyone had a wonderful day yesterday, as I did. Doing my preferred holiday tradition. Absolutely nothing at all. All right, there we go. There's mine. The roll. Here's all of our names right here. And we have our one extra little chip right here for whomever going to walk away with the paper wrapper that came off of this roll, which says the Northern Trust Company. These have all got 1956 D Lincoln cents. Hang on just a second. Let me get a tray. Would you guys believe that I am still trying to catch up from that huge roll sale that I had? Everything else has kind of trickled down into it'll get done when it gets done. And I am now currently working on pre-holiday orders. Anything that you guys purchased from me prior to the holiday reveal sale. The holiday reveal sale is all together. This is included in the holiday reveal sale, what we're doing today. And all of that will be shipped after the big sale coming up on Wednesday. Sorry. New Year's Day. I knew I would say that wrong if I actually put my mind into it. Because that's just, well, how my mind works. So, let's see who all's here. Got everything prepped and ready to go. Expand my chat size here just a little bit. Okay. Well, Mr. McBride, Mr. Marshall, Seamus Omaha, Jeff Dunn, Sissy, Benjamin. Correct, I did just answer that. The auction will start 3 p.m. Wednesday afternoon, 3 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday afternoon, the 1st of January, 2020. Hello, Adam, Todd Carmen, Hawkeye, Steve Patet. So everybody made it through Christmas, I guess. I like to see that. Everyone survived. Of course, now you have to survive the returns day, which I believe is today, where most people are returning what they received. Okay. Well, let me go ahead and get started on this. I've got 50 names here, plus one chip for the wrapper. Someone's going to win the wrapper out of this one. Get all these together in my bag. Mix them up really good. Oh, more than glad it's over. I couldn't be gladder. Oh, all right. Let's see here. I'll try to get this thing picked apart nice and clean. These things can be a real bear to get open sometimes. Usually one side will come apart easier than the other side. Okay. The end coins on this roll are a bit toned, and I will tell you that this is a tails to tails roll. The only indication that I had what date and mint mark it was by what was written on the wrapper. So I'm hoping these are 1956D as indicated on the wrapper. If they're not, we'll have a chit-chat about what to do. I am still not lucky enough to get this one open easily. Well, I'm hoping 56D, because if they are not 56D, we're going to have some minor issues. Okay, I got the wrapper opened up. I got fibers everywhere because I basically had to destroy the very end of the wrapper to get it open. Unwrap these. Wrapper over the coins, of course. And there we go. They are 1956 Denver. So we have ourselves a 1956 Denver roll, and we're ready to go. We'll set the wrapper up here. All right, here we go. Coin number 1. We'll go to Sissy Atwell. Sissy Atwell. I'm glad to be back in business. Yesterday was a different day. Unfortunately, we've got spots on this end coin. A spotty end coin. It looks like there's nothing to warrant any special story on this one. So we've got a few die scratches running from the mint mark up through the 1 of the date. We can use that as our marker on this particular roll, on this particular die anyway, on this roll. This is what was exposed to the outside of the roll. So you got some brown, there's some toning, there's some color. A little weakness in the center of the design. This one goes to Sissy Atwell. And let's see who gets number 2. Number 2 goes to Clay 37. Clay 37. Let's see what's there. Another one of the same die. The same die, which is a really good indication this is an original roll. And just like in the last coin, there's no doubling on this one either. On the obverse or the reverse. We are not especially hopeful that we're going to find anything on the reverse because, well, just kind of unknown to have double die reverse on a 56D. But the obverses are what we're really after on this because the obverses can have all sorts of things. All right, let me shut my phone down here real quick. Sometimes I forget to do that. Okay. Now I got where it's not going to make any noises. My dad's talking about his cat, and I got someone else talking to me about a roll of pennies. All right. Coin number 3 goes to Ron Fry. Coin number 3 for Ron Fry. Here it comes. What do we have? That same die again. So this is the same die 3 coins in a row. Let's take a quick look around for any errors. Any errors on the reverse. Anything that would make this coin worth more premium. And so far I'm seeing nothing. Gotta get this thing pointed around toward me a little bit better because, well, I realize now it's a very directional microphone. And it likes being pointed directly toward the mouth that's speaking. For one reason or another. Okay, coin number 4. Coin number 4, Jim Fletcher. Here we go, Mr. Fletcher. Here's your first coin. It is a different die. Has a heavy die scratch running up through the bottom of the mint mark right there. So we check the eye area. We don't have a doubled eyelid. We don't have any other hub doubling on the obverse. So let's take a look on the reverse and see what we can find on the reverse. Hello, Bill Betts. Well, we have ourselves a nice strong case of machine doubling on the reverse. And that's about it. That machine doubling is cute, but it doesn't add any real potential value to the coin because it is just machine doubling. And machine doubling is rather prevalent on late 50s wheat cents. All right, that's for Jim Fletcher. Let's see what's next. Oh, why did I do that? Okay. All right, Doug Reese is next. Well, let's see what Mr. Reese got. Well, we do have a different die. Nope, this is the same. Yep, this is the same die as the previous coin. So far, we're up to 5 coins, and we've only seen 2 different dies. Which that could be a good sign. It's definitely a sign that this is an original roll. Nobody's seen these coins since 1956. Looking for any errors on the reverse. A little bit of a lamination peel going on there. Other than that, not much of anything. Okay. Throw this one in the holder. That's coin number 5 for Doug Reese. And on to coin number 6. Anybody notice I got my Bob Ross shirt on today? Happy little coin lives right over there. Mr. Patat. Mr. Patat. Let's see. That's the first die in the roll. So we've got our lines going through the 1 down to the mint mark. So this is not going to be a double die or a repunch mint mark. A few little spots here and there. This is one of those if-else rolls. Because you always say what if when you look at a roll. And you think, what if? What if there's really good valuable coins in there? Else, not much of value. And that's what we found so far out of 6 coins in the roll. But we're only 6 coins deep. There could be anything in here. Hello, Robert Adams. Mr. Fletcher gets another coin right here. Let's see what Mr. Fletcher gets out of this. Darn it, there's another one. Another coin of the same die as the first die that we found in this roll. We were 7 coins deep in the roll, and we've only found 2 different dies so far. Only 2 dies out of 7 coins. My Christmas was great, Robert. Had a decent dinner with my wife and her friend here at home and watched a movie and did nothing else. It's exactly what we wanted. So what I wanted, I got. No kids, no gifts, no trees, no lights, no nothing. It's exactly what I like. These are nice red coins. All right, Sissy. Let's see if we can pull a different die out of here. How about no? It's the same die as the second die that we have started digging out of this roll. So we have ourselves a grand total of 8 coins so far and only 2 different dies. This, I would say, is definitely an original roll, without a doubt. Nice die crack over the shoulder right there, right over VDB. Let's take a look at the reverse. I am unfortunately going to have to eat and run today because I do have to go to the post office. I have a number of packages to get out today, and I was going to try to do it before the reveal so I'd have plenty of time to chat afterward. And unfortunately, the way it worked out was that I had to stay here instead of going to the post office through my window of opportunity. And the end of my window of opportunity came, and it came down that I needed to come up here and do this instead. So I have not yet been to the post office. All right. Well, this is Clay 37. It's got himself the second die out of the roll. It'd be really cool if all of these were RPM 1s and RPM 8s, but they're not. That would be really, really sweet. We'd be sharing high fives across the board. But so far, we've run into nothing and nothing, and we've got 2 dies. Total of 2 dies, showing us nothing and nothing. Okay. There's Clay 37. Let's see if we can come up with something out of coin number 10. Coin number 10, Silver Nitrate, AGN03. Agno3 gets second die out of the roll again. Second die out of the roll. So we still have nothing to show. Number 46 reveals. See, what question did Joe ask? Joe. I must have missed something somewhere. Aha. The last reveal. I even forgot about that. That was, what was it? Monday evening. And Monday evening, what happened was I lost my internet. Very abruptly, very suddenly, lost my internet and had no way of recovering, had no way of coming back in. And by the time I did get back in here, I couldn't see anything. Couldn't see what I was doing or anything else. Evidently, everyone else could see me. So they could see me clambering around, clicking, and I wasn't doing anything or saying anything because I didn't think I had any connection to anyone. So the only way I could resolve the issue was to end the stream. So that's what I ended up having to do. And unfortunately, I could have continued the stream at that point with fewer people, but I didn't realize there was anybody left. I thought my stream was permanently damaged. Clay 37 gets the next coin, and the next coin is again the second die out of the roll. So we are 11 coins deep and only 2 dies into this roll. Got that die crack on the top of the VDB there. So what I ended up doing with the roll is I ended up finishing the roll off and basically ended up doing the roll without broadcasting, exactly the same as I normally would have done the roll. And I will be able to publish the results of what I was able to find on the Coppercoins page on Facebook later, or I may just come on and do a short video of the 046 results because it was a very unusual stream. Kind of ended rather abruptly. Again, we have another example of the first die of the roll. So we are 12 coins in, and only 2 different die pairs have been found so far. 12 coins in with 2 different die pairs total. Wham. That's kind of heavy, Cuds R Us. That's a lot of nice stuff. I'm not hardly giving you guys time to open all this stuff. I'm shipping it out so much, right? I wish that were the case. I got a whole floor full of sorted coins that are ready to be packaged and shipped. That my biggest issue right now is finishing up all of the labels and packing slips. CMOS Omaha. CMOS Omaha gets one of his coins right here. Right here. And we break the tradition. This is a different die. This will be die number 3 out of this roll. It has a heavy die scratch coming out of the throat going straight across. But it does not show me any sign of doubling of any kind. But we are finally changing dies. So maybe someone took the little shaker to it and shook it up. Alright, I don't see anything on the obverse. Let's take a look at the reverse real quick and see what we can find. Rather weakly struck coin. All this fuzz, all these little white marks that you see everywhere, those are little tiny pits. They were in the planchet, and the planchet was all stirred around with other planchets and got all they move them around in bags and sacks and hoppers and everything else, and they get all pockmarked up with each other. Then when they go through the minting process, they go through these dies which have nice solid surfaces. In the minting process, if the coin gets hit hard enough, it punches all this stuff off the coin. It punches it out. And so you can tell a weakly struck coin because it will have all these little puck marks from where the planchet had little bits of damage prior to being minted into a coin. Well, trust me, Robert, I still have more rolls from that same source. That guy didn't search anything for anything. So now I've got 3 different dies coming out of this so far. And Clay 37 gets the next coin. Let's see what Clay 37 ends up with. This is another example of the second die out of the roll. So it's not going to have anything related to doubling on it. Let's see if we come up with any kind of an error. So far, she looks pretty normal. Okay. Second die from the roll. And we're up to coin number 15. Coin number 15. A few people have gone through the 72 rolls and came back and reported nothing. Tug Carmen. That's what I know so far about them. Second die from the roll again. So we're 14 coins in and still only have 3 dies. And of the 3 dies, there's a bunch from the first and second dies, and there's only 1 of the third die. And none of them show any doubling of any kind. We've run into one small, what appeared to be a little bit of a lamination peel, or lamination crack. Other than that, nothing so far. Nothing so far. This one's been a dud roll. An old bankroll with no markings. Huh. Jeff Dunn. I do have some of those. This is, once again, the second die from the roll. Second die from the roll strikes again. And once again, we have nothing other than the crack above the VDB on the coat and some relatively minor machine doubling on the reverse. Some more of that machine doubling. You can see it in various areas around the coin. All right, Jeff. That's yours. What comes next? Next will be Todd Carmen again. Todd Carmen, let's see what you get. This is the third die out of the roll, I think, unless this may be different altogether. This may be a fourth one. Yeah. This one's got real heavy die scratches around In God. This is a fourth die. So finally we know what the fourth die looks like. I wish it looked different, but it is what it is. Let's see what we got going on in the reverse here. Not especially weak. Relatively strong strike. It's a nice gem coin too. Overall, well, no, it's not gem. It's choice to gem. It's a decent coin. Got a few spots on the obverse. All right, Todd. Here we come into coin number 18. Silver nitrate. Hey. This one's for Sissy Atwell. This is coin number 18 for Sissy Atwell. Let's see what she got. First die in the roll again. First die in the roll again, as is evidenced by the parallel die scratches going through the one of the date down to the mint mark. Let's take a look at the reverse. It's a good look around. All right, nothing there. And on to coin number 18. 18, we pull a draw for Deanne. Let's see what Deanne gets. Coin number 18. Second die in the roll again. So we've come out with a total of 4 dies, 4 different die pairs in this roll. We have one example of each of 2 of them and a bunch of the other 2. Still working on trying to find anything of premium value in here. So far there's been nothing. Silver nitrate, this one's for you. Mr. AGN03. And this one's going to be a first die of the roll. Right, there's our die scratches. And this is one of those techniques that I'm sure those of you who've been watching will know, but if there are people out there who've not been watching, by the way, there's 28 people out there watching right now, only have 18 likes. So if somebody's wanting more education because they haven't pounded that like button yet. And so here's the gig. As we go through these coins, I'm memorizing what the different die markers look like on the different individual dies. And the reason I do that, and the reason I like to do that, is it helps me go through the roll a little faster. Because if I know what the obverse and reverse of one coin from one die pair looks like, I can be reasonably certain that the rest of them from the same die pair are going to look relatively similar. And this belongs to the first die pair I pulled out of the roll, with these 3 die scratches like this from the mint mark up through the one of the date. That has become a common theme And in hunting the first coin and searching it really carefully, I learned that there was nothing doubled on that coin, on either side of the coin, and the die pairs run basically the same going through a roll. So I can surmise from that the obverse and reverse of the 3 die scratch coin has nothing on it. As I go through the roll, I can just basically discount the coins that have the 3 die scratches going through the date. And it helps me go through that roll much faster than if I look at every coin with a bewildered look. This one's going to be the 4th die. It's the 4th die. It's the one that has the very heavy die scratches through in God, right there. And so we still have only 4 different die pairs to account for this entire roll so far. And we've been almost halfway through the roll. Silver nitrate, using my technique. Very nice. Hope it helped you speed your process. Let you go through it faster when you're paying attention to the markers. And you know your markers. By the time you get halfway through a roll, you should start being able to speed up a little bit. Go a little faster as you go through each coin because, well, there's not going to be that many different die pairs in an original roll. One of the reasons I like going through original rolls, this is 2nd die pair again. One of the reasons I like going through original rolls is because, well, if you don't find anything, that's just tough luck. It's just the way things work. But if you do find something, you're going to find multiples of it. And we've proven that time and time again here, going through original rolls of stuff, and we're finding 6, 8, 10, there was even 19 of one particular RPM in one roll that I've been through online. And that can be good. Another good thing is if you happen to find one coin that's really valuable in the roll, you're going to find a few of them. You're going to have one for your collection, some to sell, trade, whatever you want to do with them. This is the 1st die in the roll again. We are running into a lot of these. Seems to be very prevalent. Hello, Penny Parent. It's a little struck through over the U in pluribus, 2nd U of pluribus. That's actually a kind of a pit in the coin. Doesn't have any fairing on the outside of it. It was punched straight down into the coin over the U, and there was some sort of material on the coin or on the planchet when the die struck it, and that material got struck into the coin and then fell off. Could have been any number of different things, but whatever it was, it had stripes on it. That's what that is. That's all I got to say about that. No doubling on the reverse. Coin number 25. Sissy Atwell. See, must you find that in one of the rolls that, now you probably didn't get a 71p from the rolls I was selling. I don't think I sold any 71p rolls. That sounds really cool anyway. This one's from the 2nd die out of the roll. For those of you who have joined later on, we have so far been through half of the roll. We have found a grand total of 4 different dies. One of those 4 dies there's only one example of. The other, there's like 2 or 3 of them. Then all the rest of the coins are of the other 2 dies. None of them produced anything that had any premium. No varieties or anything to that effect. Spiked head die crack. Well, hello, how are you? And so who is Spiked head die crack? Is it somebody I already know? Or no? Jim Fletcher. Jim Fletcher will get, that's die number 1. Die number 1 is notable by the die scratches running from the D up through the 19 of the date. And it is known to have no variety. Hello, Mr. Dowdle. I know I had a wonderful holiday. I actually pretty much took the day off. I think that's the last day off, the first day off I've had in, I don't know, 2 months. Maybe a little more than 2 months. It was nice. I sat down and fell asleep on the couch watching a movie. Yeah, no, that was exciting. It was a very exciting day. Exciting day of doing absolutely nothing. Hello, Cindelicious. Paul Hampton gets the next coin. Let's see what Paul Hampton gets. What die is this one? This is the second die out of the roll again, as noted by a relatively strong die scratch coming from the bottom of the vest to the bottom of the D. And this one is also known to not have any doubling, no hub doubling, no mint mark doubling. There are indications of machine doubling on a lot of the reverses of these particular coins from this particular die, so that machine was malfunctioning at the time this roll was struck. Some of my best rolls I have. Best rolls I have, like, that I'm working on getting up to, opening and reveals, or I'm not sure. Jim Fletcher again. Let's see what you got in this one. Once again, the second die of the roll. This roll has turned out to be very, very consistent. Unfortunately, not in a good way, but it's very consistent. Benjamin, I don't really have a whole lot of quote-unquote good rolls. I'm not really sure. I don't have anything that... I mean, you're going to see a number of the good coins I've got on New Year's Day because I'm going to be putting a whole lot of it up for sale. I need travel money for the fun show. Mr. Elliott. Mr. Elliott gets coin number 29. And coin number 29 is indeed different. This will represent a different and new die for this roll. Wait, no. This is die number 2 out of the roll. It just took me a little while to recognize it. It's die number 2 out of the roll. So we know it not to have any hub doubling. No, Coin Junkie, unfortunately. We've not had any real luck today. We're coming up with a whole bunch of coins. We're up to coin number 29, and we've only seen 4 die pairs. 2 of the die pairs are consistently repeating. This is one of them. Throughout the roll. So we've not had any really good luck finds yet. But that's okay. We'll just have to keep going and trying. Mr. Patat. What does Mr. Patat get? Mr. Patat will get an example of die number 4 out of the roll. Die number 4 is the one that has the heavy die scratchers through In God. And there they are. Heavy die scratches through In God. No doubling on the coin. Nothing on the reverse. A few die scratches here and there, and that's about it. That's coin number 30. Coin number 30 goes to Mr. Patet. And we go to coin number 31. That also goes to Mr. Patet. Mr. Patet will get coin number 31, and this belongs to die 2 out of the roll. So again, no hub doubling of any kind, no doubling on the mint mark. Yeah, Dennis, that's pretty much how the minting process works, is when they're minting coins, they mint a large hopper full of coins off of the available presses for that day, which is usually, I would say, 7 different die presses working at any one time. And as they mint coins, those coins go into a hopper, and then the hopper, they bag the coins directly out of the hopper through a counting machine. And when the coins are bagged, this is going to be die 3. This is our second example of die number 3 out of the roll. It has pretty strong die scratches up here. There's an especially strong one between the lower G and O. And the other thing that makes this one a little different is that it has that one horizontal die scratch running across above the bow tie. Die 4 doesn't have that. But still yet, this is not a doubled die or a repunch mint mark. But as they're minting from those available die pairs for that day, often bags of coins will only have 7 or 8 different die pairs in them. And then when a wrapping company gets the bag and throws the coins into their wrapper machine, they still only have about 7 different die pairs. Hello, Linda Wallace. So you can go through, this is silver nitrate again, so you can go through an entire bag of coins. That's 100 rolls, and only find a little better than half a dozen different die pairs. That's die pair number 1 again. So if you happen to find a roll that has, it's an original roll, original bank wrapped or original roll, original source material, that happens to have a double die or 2 different double dies or something like that, you're going to find multiples of those throughout the roll. Just like with the 1956 DOMM number 1, which are pretty valuable coins. If you find one of them in the roll, you're going to find more than one, usually. And it's going to be pretty lucrative for you. Unfortunately, wait a minute, that wasn't coin number 34. How did I get coin number 34 on there and not coin number 33? That's weird. There we go. That's coin 33 in the roll. Oops, I left his name in there too. Silver nitrate gets coin number 33. There we go. Now we're going to move on to coin number 44. Paul Hampton. Paul Hampton gets coin number 44. Let's take a look at it. That's going to represent die number 2 out of the roll. A lot of those in this roll. A lot of those and a lot of die number 1. The chief marker for number 2 is this die scratch running toward the south off the bottom of the D. Check the reverse for any particular errors that will help us determine whether or not there's something to talk about here. That is a hit on the coin. That is not struck through. And your difference between a hit and struck through, I can show you right now that when you get a hit, you're going to have a lip around the edge that's raised. Like you can see that light thing down at the bottom of this spearhead shaped thing. That's actually like the edge of a crater. That's dirt that got pushed up around the edge, or metal that got pushed up around the edge, because when you displace metal, it has to go somewhere. And if it's not being retained by a die or a collar, then it's going to go straight up. And that's what happened here. And that's how you can tell. It's kind of like if you run a hoe through dirt. The dirt that you're displacing goes up on either side of where the hoe goes. Same thing happened here. And this is how you can tell this is a hit, this is damage, versus the struck through I showed you earlier, which had no flanges, no extra area around the outside edge of the pit in the coin. This is also hits on the coin right here. So damage, if you will. That's coin number 34 for Paul Hampton. Now let's take a look and see who gets coin number 35. A new 1981D Lincoln Memorial Cent DDO. 81D DDO Lincoln sensor unknown. So if you have one, it would be a nice one. Yeah, this is going to be die number 2 again. Die number 2 again. And we've got nothing on the obverse on this one. How about the reverse? Got our die 2 signature machine doubling, which coin to coin it's going to change a little bit, but you can see that there's a little bit of machine doubling heading essentially in the same direction as all the other ones. I am doing my wedding anniversary dinner tonight. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. We will have a good time. We're going to go eat crab. We don't eat crab very often. But Miss Tam likes crab. That's her favorite. It's her favorite food. Paul Hampton gets coin number 36. Coin number 36 for Paul Hampton. And we have die number 1. It's going to be die number 1 represented for the day, which we found absolutely nothing on, and expect to find absolutely nothing on this one. A few spots here and there. A few little marks here and there. So even after everything that Bug went through, she still had a good Christmas, and I like that. She looked like she was really happy. Not to take anything away from Tyler. I think he had a good time too. But I was just really concerned about Bug. Run Fry. Run Fry gets coin number 37. And coin number 37 is die number 1 again. We run into a lot of these in this roll. Oh, we're like, oh, yuck. Icky, that one's got fingerprint stuff on it. We're like crabaholics. We'll go to a crab boil, and man, if they didn't have them potatoes and corn to stuff us up, we'd be eating crab all night. We leave a restaurant serving crab about ready for somebody to roll us outside in a wheelbarrow and throw us in the car. Coin number 38 goes to Mr. Fletcher. Let's see if we can change our luck with this coin. Nope. Die number 1 again. Well, I tell you what. Comes time to find a really nice double die or an OMM or something like that. They don't come with this kind of frequency. Seems like only the common, normal dies come with this sort of frequency. I think if I went back and counted every die number 1 out of the 38 coins we've been through here, I would say 15 of them were die number 1. And easily another 10 were die number 2. And then the rest were of 2 other dies. There's only been 4 different die pairs found in this roll so far. Shows us definitely this is an original roll from a source, likely from a mint bag. Steve Elliott. Mr. Elliott gets a coin from die number 1. Another coin from die number 1. At least you guys are all getting a really good education in how to find the same die over and over again when you're going through original source material. And that is always important to know because it helps you get through rolls much more quickly. All right, Steve Elliott comes up with nothing out of this roll. Not in that coin. Coin number 40. Coin number 40, again, Steve Elliott. Let's see what we can do different about this. See if he gives us any different luck at all. That's die number 2 out of the roll again. Dies number 1 and die number 2 out of this roll have been very, very common. But just out of this roll, if anyone out there were to ever attempt to go through the process of actually finding how many different dies were used and photograph the markers for every one of them, as it would be an almost impossible, daunting task, but there's some chance that any given die that you have could be very, very scarce, simply because if these are considered normal, quote-unquote normal, no one has really ever paid that much attention to the markers themselves. Given that nobody has ever really paid that much attention to the markers themselves, we could be finding markers for which there are only repeats of in like 10 different rolls, period. End of story. There may not be any more than 10 rolls worth of coins with these markers. This is die number 2 again. Unfortunately, for what we collect the coins for and for what we are looking for, such as varieties or errors, these coins are not producing what we need. Unfortunately. All right, that's coin number 41 for Paul Hampton. Let's take a look at coin number 42. That will go to Steve Elliott. Steve Elliott gets coin number 42. And it represents die number 2 in the roll. And die number 2 in the roll. Once again. For another iteration. Probably going to find some machine doubling. There we go. Just a little bit of machine doubling on this one. And there's that. Coin number 42. Now for coin number 43. Oops. I got Mr. Elliott's name in that one. There we go. All right, coin number 43. Coin number 43 goes to Deanne. Deanne gets die number 2 out of the roll again. Die number 2 again. Like one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. Die is number 1 and die number 2. And those numbers are just being given to them assigned temporarily for the day just so that we can get through this one roll with some simile of order. Next time I go through a roll of 1956D from this particular bank, we may get one of those 2 dies again, and it could be a completely different number because I'm going by in the cardinal order by how I found them in the roll. Oh, look at that. The wrapper goes to Deanne. You write her name on it. All right, there's Deanne. Just going to get that wrapper. The one that I basically had to pick fuzzy at one end because it didn't want to come apart. There we go. 1956 D wrapper for DN. That's right. You can't win them all, that's for sure. Chuck Patillo gets the next one. And this coin again represents die number 2 for the roll. So we are merely looking for good errors. Anything error related, broken planchet. We're looking for possibly an indent, brockage, struck through, laminations. Not fingerprints. That's not what we're looking for. No fingerprints, please. Anything that can come out of the roll other than a double diary punch mint mark is what we're kind of after at this point, because we already know that most of these coins are from the same die pairs. And they showed us nothing so far. Paul Hampton. Paul Hampton gets a coin from die number 1. There's the die scratches. It's die number 1 from the roll. Looks like a pretty clean looking coin though. Relatively nice condition. But I see nothing outside of the ordinary for die number 1, which is no die variety. And I see nothing in error on here. I just move on to the next coin. Coin number 45 goes to Paul Hampton. Then coin number 46 will belong to CMOS Omaha. CMOS Omaha gets the next coin. Let's see what it is. Well, this is going to be die number 2 again. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Yeah, if we came up with a 5th die in this roll, I would almost be surprised to have 5 different dies in a roll for the first time ever. Of course, I've seen rolls that were all of one single die crack, or all of one single RPM, or one single die variety of one sort or another. But never an original bank wrapped roll have I seen that has come from an original source, wrapped exactly as it had been since it was new. You bust that roll open and go through it, and there's only 4 different die pairs in the entire roll. This is a first. This is die number 3 again. Die number 3 has that one die scratch running horizontally out from the middle of the bow tie, from the upper part of the bow tie. And die number 3, once again, showed us nothing. There's a little die scratch between the bottom of the G and the O. I got some pretty coins in here. Some relatively nice ones. Nothing especially wonderful. And we got no die varieties so far out of this entire roll. Yeah, sometimes they just come that way. This was an original bank wrapped roll. Oop. And Jeff, get your name in this one. Focus, Chuck, focus. Got 3 coins left. 3 coins left. Sissy Atwell gets 3rd from the end of the roll. Die number 1 again. So we've got no hub doubling on this. We've got no double mint mark. This one's going to be an easy one to organize, unfortunately. Nothing there either. Well, I always like it when you guys get really good stuff in a roll. It's a little bit depressing just to get normal coins out of a roll, but I know it happens, and here it is. This is how this works. Wayne Wolf. Wayne Wolf pulls. This is die number 4 here. It looks a little bit like the die number 3 in that it has the die scratches going up like this, but it doesn't have the horizontal die scratch running above the bow tie. And then when you get over to In God, you don't have that wonky looking die scratch from the G to the O, and there's a lot of really strong die scratches around that area. So that's die number 4. And let's look at the reverse. Nothing. No hub doubling. A little bit of machine doubling in a couple of spots. And we are up to coin number 50. This is the last coin in the roll. The last coin in the roll will go to Chuck Daughtrey. My bag is empty. My job is done. Chuck Daughtrey gets a die number 1 again. So this roll turned out to really just show you what your everyday average typical roll of coins that came from the bank look like. This was on the outside of the roll. Got a little bit of toning on it. A little color here and there. Always looking for more opportunity to find really good rolls to open. You never know. Sometimes they're good and sometimes they're just not quite so good. But that's why we keep taking the opportunity to keep looking. So what we have is the, for me anyway, dreaded 50 coin roll with 50 coins. And that's it. 50 coins, 50 uncirculated coins. So folks, unfortunately, I'm going to have to just take off because it's pretty well time for me to go to the post office. And Sherman's sitting back here looking at me like, I think it's time to go, Daddy. I'll do a quick Sherman cam. There's Sherman sitting back there. Sherman says, I think we should go. Hey. Want to say hi? Huh? Want to say hi? Want to say hi? Say hi. Hi, everybody. Looky, there he is. There he is. Do you want to say hi? Want to say hi? Woke him up out of a drunken stupor to say hello. That's my baby Sherman. All right, folks, I have to take off. I have to go take care of my postal duties and come back and keep printing up slips. I've got a lot of coins to take care of. You can see, if you look here, they're all over back there. Those are all coins that have been sorted from the reveals of recent past. And folks, I will be back. When am I going to be back? Am I going to be back, let's see, the 27th? That's tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, tomorrow 2 p.m. is roll reveal number 48. And then 49 will be at 5 o'clock tomorrow. So we got one at 2 o'clock and one at 5 o'clock tomorrow. And then we have another one at 8 o'clock tomorrow. So tomorrow's a full day. Tomorrow is a full day. We're going to be done with all of these holiday reveals by the end of the 30th. We will do nothing on the 31st, and then on the 1st, we're going to have a massive coin sale. Large coin sale with double die as repunchment marks, BU coins, little coin sets, little coin parts, bits, pieces, all of them running for $1. $1. That's right. All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great evening, and I'll see you then.